In this video, I will be performing Les Plaisirs de Cétacés by Otto Steinmayer. Otto is a classical scholar and professor of literature, has had a lifelong interest in Baroque music, and plays both the harpsichord and the Baroque violin. Les Plaisirs is definitely a wonderful piece that deserves to be listened to, and this is the main reason I decided to share this recording with you. However, the recording process ended up becoming much more complicated than I had anticipated, and I had to resort to a technological trick in order to be able to record the piece. Let me explain. Les Plaisirs de Cétacés has a three-voice texture. There are two upper voices, both played by the right hand, that are engaging in an almost constant dialogue, and a lower third voice played by the left hand that provides a rhythmic and harmonic foundation, but also occasionally engages in the dialogue of the two upper voices. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos that I have a little issue with my hands, which means there are certain stretches I try to avoid doing. And unfortunately, the writing for the right hand contains quite a few stretches that feel uncomfortable for my hand. I should stress here that this is not a fault of the writing. The piece is very well written and is in fact very idiomatically conceived for the harpsichord. The issue has to do purely with my hand, and while sometimes I can come up with creative solutions for certain stretches, there were too many passages where I could not achieve the kind of phrasing I wanted to do, meaning that I couldn't really play the piece in a satisfactory manner. At first, I decided to include this piece on a list of pieces I wish I could play, but can't really at this point in time. However, this was around the time I was putting together the video about my Yamaha Clavinova and its possibilities of combining separate tracks. So I started wondering if I could figure out a way to overdub myself playing this piece. This is something I had never done before, but eventually I figured out a way to do it. And here's how it worked. I distributed the two upper voices, meant to be played with the right hand, between both hands, with the right hand playing only the soprano line and the left hand the alto line. Then I made a recording playing just those two lines. I transferred the file to my computer, and then while playing back the file on the computer and listening to it through headphones, I recorded the left hand. Then I synchronized both recordings using Audacity and then mixed them so that both recordings are distributed in both channels. In other words, you don't hear one recording exclusively on the left channel and the other one on the right channel. Both recordings occupy both channels. I have to admit, the most challenging aspect of the overdubbing process was not so much being in sync, but rather being out of sync in a convincing way. As I've mentioned before, one important expressive device, which incidentally pianists continue to use up to the beginning of the 20th century, is that you don't always play hands together. A device oftentimes referred to as dislocation. But because, at least the way I see it, dislocation is not something that you plan out in detail, but rather decide during the performance, I felt that it was much more difficult to do without actually playing both hands at the same time, because I missed the crucial element of experiencing the interaction of all the voices. So I did a few takes to first get used to the idea that I would have to create this effect without playing all the voices at the same time, And only after that did I record the final take of the left hand. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the performance.